crystalline observation deck of the MODA flagship Eternal Logic hummed with the soft pulse of quantum processors. Senior Observer Rill gazed at the three-dimensional star map spanning the chamber, his four eyes narrowing at an anomalous signal pulsing from a distant arm of the galaxy. "Analysis confirms it is a distress beacon," said Teln, the junior systems analyst. Her voice carried the perfect modulation all MODA cultivated, emotionless, precise, efficient. "The signal originates from the Ferex system, approximately 27,000 light-years distant." Rill's skin shifted to a contemplative blue. "Curious. Our records indicate no advanced civilization exists in that sector." "The signal is not of known origin," Teln confirmed. "However, the encoding suggests technological sophistication exceeding level 8 parameters." This revelation prompted Rill to summon the MODA High Council. Within hours, 12 of the most distinguished minds in the MODA collective analyzed the message. "The signal contains more than a request for aid," explained Elder Voss, the Council's senior interpreter. "It carries extensive data about an entity the senders call the Void." The chamber darkened as holographic images materialized, entire star systems disappearing into nothingness, planets crumbling into dust, and a spreading darkness that consumed everything in its path. "The Void appears to be a quantum-level distortion in space-time," Elder Voss continued. "It feeds on matter and energy, growing exponentially. According to these calculations, it has already consumed 3 star systems." Elder Mika, the Council's strategist, analyzed the projected path. "At current expansion rates, the Void will not reach any populated systems for approximately 2,700 standard years. This does not constitute an immediate threat to the collective." The Council members flickered their agreement lights, all except Teln, who remained still. "Junior Analyst Teln," Rill noted. "You appear to have reservations." Teln's skin rippled slightly, a rare show of agitation among the MODA. "The beings who sent this signal will be extinct within 1 standard year. Their civilization will be the 4th to vanish. While the threat is distant now, our projections show the Void's acceleration pattern. Once it consumes enough matter, its growth becomes unstoppable." "Even so," Elder Mika replied, "our responsibility is to the collective. The required resources to address this threat exceed logical allocation parameters." Teln's response was unexpected. "There may be another option. I have been studying a species from a small yellow star system, designation humans. Their technological advancement is modest, but they exhibit unique characteristics that could be valuable in this situation." The Council shifted collectively, a gesture of dismissal. "Humans are barely at level 3, Elder Voss said. What could they possibly contribute?" Teln activated another hologram showing historical data from Earth. "Humans possess a quality our algorithms struggle to quantify. When faced with crises, they demonstrate remarkable adaptability and unconventional problem-solving. Moreover, they frequently undertake actions that defy logical risk assessment." "You're suggesting we contact a primitive species about a galactic-level threat?" Rill's tone carried rare incredulity. "I am suggesting," Teln replied carefully, "that while we have superior technology, humans may possess something we lack, something that might be crucial against an opponent that defies conventional physics." The Council chamber fell silent as the implications settled among them. "Very well," Rill finally said. "Prepare a delegation to this Earth. We will present the situation and observe their response. If nothing else, it will provide valuable data on pre-ascension species behavior in crisis scenarios." As the Council dispersed, Teln remained, staring at the human historical footage. Beings running into burning structures to save others, diving into treacherous waters for strangers, standing against overwhelming military forces for abstract principles. The analytical part of her mind could not compute the logic. Yet something in the pattern suggested a power her people had long ago engineered out of their genome. Perhaps, she thought, illogic had its own kind of strength. The United Earth Defense Command Center buzzed with activity as Admiral Penn strode through the reinforced doors. Technicians and officers scrambled to monitoring stations, their faces illuminated by the glow of emergency displays. "Report," Penn demanded. Commander Rivera pointed to the main screen. "Sir, an alien vessel appeared in orbit 30 minutes ago. They bypassed all our detection systems. Current size estimates put it at roughly 2 kilometers in length. Hostile actions? None, sir. They've made no aggressive moves. They're just waiting. As if on cue, the communication officer's console chimed. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission request. The signal pattern is unlike anything in our database. Penn straightened his uniform. Put it through. The screen flickered, revealing a being with smooth blue-tinted skin, 4 symmetrically placed eyes, and a slender frame that seemed almost fragile. The translator systems hummed to life. I am Senior Observer Ryle of the Moda Collective, the alien said, its voice melodic yet devoid of emotion. We come seeking audience with your leadership regarding a matter of galactic significance. 6 hours later, in a hastily arranged conference room beneath Geneva, representatives from Earth's major nations sat across from 3 Moda delegates. Holographic displays showed the terrifying progression of the void as it consumed star after star. The affected region lies 27,000 light-years from your system, Rill explained. It poses no direct threat to Earth for millennia. We share this information merely as a courtesy between spacefaring civilizations. Admiral Penn frowned. If it's so distant, why tell us at all? Teln stepped forward. The beings currently under threat sent a distress call to all technological civilizations. The collective deemed intervention illogical, given the resources required and minimal return value. However, I proposed consulting your species due to your unique characteristics. You mean because we might be crazy enough to help? Captain Alex of the exploratory vessel Horizon asked bluntly. The Moda exchanged glances. A subtle communication unintelligible to humans. Your species demonstrates decision-making patterns that defy our predictive models, Teln replied carefully. We wish to observe your response to this scenario. The room fell silent as the human representatives considered the information. The journey would take months even with the Moda's advanced drive technology. The danger was extreme. The probability of survival, according to Moda calculations, was less than 18%. How long do these people have? Captain Alex asked. Approximately 11 of your months before total planetary extinction, Riel answered. Without hesitation, Captain Alex stood. I volunteer the Horizon and crew for this mission. The Moda's skin flickered with surprise patterns, their version of astonishment. That is unanticipated, Riel said. The beings in danger are unknown to you. They exist 27,000 light-years away. Their extinction would not impact human civilization in any measurable way. Admiral Penn joined Captain Alex. That's not how we operate, Observer Rill. Someone's in trouble and we can help. That's all we need to know. The Earth representatives quickly moved to logistics, crew selection, equipment needs, and tactical planning. The Moda delegates watched in fascination as humans unhesitatingly volunteered for what their calculations classified as a near-suicide mission. Later, aboard the Eternal Logic, Teln analyzed the day's events. Their response defies logical understanding, Rill said. They commit significant resources and risk valuable lives for beings they've never encountered, with no possibility of reciprocal benefit. Teln watched the monitors as the Horizon crew made preparations. Perhaps that is precisely why I believed they might help. Their history suggests humans often achieve the impossible specifically because they do not calculate the odds against them. Rill considered this. A fascinating hypothesis. This mission will provide valuable data, regardless of outcome. Indeed, Teln replied, though privately she wondered if the Moda's understanding of valuable data might soon undergo significant revision. The journey through folded space created strange companionships. Aboard the Horizon, Captain Alex stood in the ship's observation lounge, watching the swirling quantum distortions outside. Beside her, Teln maintained perfect posture, her 4 eyes methodically tracking each instrument readout. Your drive technology is remarkable, Alex said, breaking the silence. 2 months to travel 27,000 light-years. On our own, we'd need generations. The Moda mastered quantum folding 50,000 years ago, Teln replied, though your species' progress is impressively rapid. Our models suggest humans would have independently developed similar technology within 300 years. Alex smiled. We tend to hurry when something interests us. The lounge door slid open as Dr. Nasser, the mission's lead physicist, entered with Elder Voss. Their animated discussion echoed through the compartment. But that completely contradicts the established principles of entropy management, Voss was saying, his skin pulsing with confused patterns. Nasser shrugged. Sometimes you have to break the rules to see if they're really rules at all. An approach that would immediately disqualify one from MOTA scientific institutions, Voss noted. And one that's won humans quite a few Nobel Prizes, Nasser countered with a grin. Alex watched the exchange with amusement. After weeks together, the fundamental differences between humans and the MOTA had become increasingly apparent. The aliens' logical, risk-averse approach to everything clashed constantly with human intuition and willingness to gamble. "I've been reviewing the data on the Void," Alex said, turning back to Teln. "Have you attempted to communicate with it?" Teln's eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of confusion. "The Void is not sentient. It is a quantum anomaly." "We don't know that for certain," Alex pointed out. "It exhibits behavior suggesting organization. Consumption patterns show preferential targeting of energy-rich systems. An emergent property of its quantum structure," Teln countered. "Not consciousness." "Maybe," Alex conceded. "But in human history, we've mistaken natural phenomena for divine beings and conscious entities for mindless forces. I prefer to keep options open." Later, in the ship's mess hall, the cultural exchange continued as crew members shared meals with their MOTA counterparts. Lieutenant Park was attempting to explain the concept of music to a bemused MOTA engineer. "But the vibrations follow no logical pattern," the engineer protested after hearing Bach's Cello Suite No. 1. "That's not the point," Park insisted. "How does it make you feel?" "Feel?" The MOTA seemed genuinely confused. "Sound vibrations do not induce emotional responses in our species." Across the room, Dr. Nasser was engaged in a similar struggle explaining poetry to Elder Voss. Captain Alex joined Teln at an empty table. "Your people really engineered emotional responses out of your genetics, didn't they?" "Emotions led to inefficient decision-making," Teln explained. "The Great Rationalization improved our species' survival probability by 82.6%. At what cost, though?" Alex asked softly. Teln considered this. A question no MOTA would think to ask. As the journey progressed, the MOTA observed with increasing fascination as the humans prepared for their mission, not just with technology, but with psychological rituals, movie nights to boost morale, birthday celebrations, even a small memorial service when news reached them of a crew member's grandmother passing on Earth. "I don't understand," Riel confessed to Teln in private. "They know the probability of mission success is minimal, yet they maintain these activities that serve no practical purpose." "I believe they call it hope," Teln replied. "A concept our species catalogued as a cognitive error 30,000 years ago. And yet," Rill observed, watching a group of laughing humans, "they appear stronger because of it." 3 weeks later, the ship's alert system activated. Captain Alex rushed to the bridge, Teln close behind. "We're approaching the Ferrex system," the navigator reported. "And something's wrong." The viewscreen showed what should have been a vibrant star system. Instead, they saw a partial ring of debris orbiting a pulsing darkness that seemed to bend light around it. "We're too late," Rill said. "The fourth planet, origin of the distress signal, has already been consumed." Alex stared at the darkness that had once been a living world. "Are there any survivors?" Teln checked the sensors. Scans detect 3 small vessels hiding in the magnetic field of the 6th planet. Life signs present but failing. "Set course immediately," Alex ordered. "Prepare medical and emergency teams." As the humans rushed to action, Riel approached Teln. "The logical course would be retreat," he said quietly. "The Void has grown stronger than our projections indicated." Teln watched the humans preparing rescue operations. "I suspect logic is not what this situation requires." The survivors from Ferrex huddled in the Horizon's medical bay, 15 beings with translucent skin and large compound eyes. Their bodies trembled continuously, whether from fear or their natural physiology, no one could tell. "Their language structure is complex," reported Lieutenant Reed, the xenolinguistics specialist. "But I've established basic communication protocols." The eldest Phyrexian, his skin mottled with age patterns, gestured weakly toward Captain Alex. Through the translation system, his words came through fragmented but clear. Our gratitude, beyond expression. But why did you come? We sent the warning, not expecting rescue, only to alert others. Alex knelt beside the alien elder. On our world, when someone calls for help, we answer. The Phyrexians' compound eyes shifted, light, refracting through their facets. The darkness, it consumes everything. We watched our homeworld disappear. There is no fighting it. Dr. Nasser entered the medical bay, tablet in hand. His usual confident expression had been replaced by deep concern. Captain, we've completed our initial analysis of the void. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered. In the conference room, humans and Moda gathered around a holographic projection of the anomaly. The void pulsed at the center, a perfect darkness that seemed to drink the light around it. It's a quantum singularity, but not like any black hole we've studied, Nasser explained. It doesn't just consume matter and energy, it unmakes them, breaking down the fundamental building blocks of reality. Elder Voss stepped forward. Our preliminary calculations suggest the anomaly has accelerated its growth rate by 37.8% since our last projections. At this rate, it will reach populated systems within 700 years, not the 2,700 previously estimated. Can we destroy it? Alex asked. Negative, Rill replied. Our weapons would be consumed before reaching the event boundary. The void absorbs energy directed at it, growing stronger in the process. The room fell silent. Even the typically stoic Moda showed signs of distress, their skin colors shifting subtly. If we can't destroy it, Alex said slowly, perhaps we can contain it. Dr. Nasser's eyes widened. You're thinking about Keller's quantum boundary theory? Exactly. If we can't destroy the darkness, maybe we can build a wall around it. Elder Voss's skin rippled with dismissal patterns. We reviewed this concept. The energy requirements would be astronomical. Even our civilization lacks sufficient resources for such an attempt. But we don't need to contain it forever, Alex countered. Just long enough to develop a permanent solution. The discussion intensified as humans and Moda debated possibilities. The Moda delegation insisted on caution, probabilities, and rational assessment. The humans pushed boundaries, suggested theoretical approaches, and refused to accept impossibility. There might be a way, Dr. Nasser said finally. Our ship's fusion core operates on principles similar to your quantum folding drive. If we modified it to create a reverse quantum field, absolutely not, Rill interrupted. Such modifications would create an 89.2% probability of catastrophic drive failure, which leaves a 10.8% chance of success, Alex pointed out. Rill's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Those odds are unacceptable. Those odds are all we have, Alex replied firmly. While the debate continued, Lieutenant Park discovered something unusual in the sensor logs. Captain, I'm detecting a pattern in the void's expansion. It's not random. It's targeting specific energy signatures first. This revelation shifted the discussion. If the void had preferences, or worse, some form of intelligence, containment became even more critical. As the meeting adjourned, Teln approached Captain Alex privately. Your species continues to defy our predictive models. The Moda would never attempt action with such a high probability of failure. Alex studied the alien analyst. That's the difference between us, Teln. You see a 10.8% chance of success. We see a chance, period. Throughout human history, those slim chances have often been enough. Later, as the horizon maintained a safe observation distance from the void, Dr. Nasser and his team worked feverishly on their modification plans. The Moda observed with a mixture of fascination and apprehension as humans discarded safety protocols and pushed theoretical boundaries. They will likely destroy themselves, Elder Voss commented to Rill. Perhaps, Rill replied. But I find myself curious about the outcome. Teln, listening nearby, noted the subtle deviation in Rill's speech pattern, the briefest hesitation, indicating something new was emerging in the senior observer's thought process, something almost like hope. The engineering bay of the horizon had transformed into a chaotic laboratory. Equipment from both human and Moda vessels cluttered every surface as Dr. Nasser directed the modification efforts. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he calibrated the experimental quantum field generator. The mathematics are sound, he insisted to Elder Voss, who hovered nearby with visible concern. We can create a self-sustaining barrier by inverting the quantum signature of our drive core. Your calculations ignore 17 critical variables, Voss countered, his skin pulsing with agitation patterns. The energy cascade alone could vaporize this vessel. That's why we're ejecting the core before full activation, Lieutenant Park interjected, sliding out from beneath a tangle of conduits. Remote detonation at a safe distance. Captain Alex entered, followed by Teln. Status report? We're at 82% completion, NASA replied. The tricky part is synchronizing the motor-quantum buffers with our fusion initiators. They were never designed to interface. Like much about our species, Alex remarked with a pointed look toward Teln. The Phyrexian survivors had integrated themselves into the effort. Despite their weakness, their advanced understanding of quantum mechanics proved invaluable. The eldest Phyrexian worked alongside Dr. Nasser, his trembling appendages surprisingly precise. Your plan has elegance, the Phyrexian said through the translator. We attempted similar containment strategies, but lacked sufficient power generation. Combined technologies, Nasser nodded. Human ingenuity, motor precision, Phyrexian theoretical framework. Maybe that's been the answer all along. On the bridge, Rill and Alex monitored the void's progression. In the 12 hours since their arrival, it had consumed a small moon and continued its inexorable expansion. The probability of success remains below acceptable parameters, Rill stated. You keep saying that, Alex replied, not taking her eyes off the tactical display. Yet you're still here. Your ship could have departed hours ago. Rill's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Alex had come to recognize as indicating internal conflict. Observation of unprecedented scenarios has scientific value. Is that the only reason? Before Rill could respond, the ship's alert system activated. Captain to engineering, we're ready for deployment. The modified core sat on the launch platform, a hybrid creation of human and alien technology. Its surface pulsed with restrained energy, conduits and cables snaking into newly fabricated control systems. Once ejected, we'll have approximately 8 minutes to reach safe distance, Dr. Nasser explained. Then we remotely trigger the cascade reaction. Captain Alex surveyed her crew. Humans standing alongside Moda and Phyrexians, all united despite their differences. Let's do this. The core ejection proceeded smoothly. The Horizon and the Moda vessel retreated to the calculated safe distance as the core drifted toward the outer edge of the void's influence. In the observation lounge, humans and aliens gathered around the view screens. The core appeared as a tiny, bright dot against the absolute darkness of the void. Initiating cascade sequence, Nasser announced, his finger hovering over the activation control. 3, 2, 1. A brilliant flash of light erupted from the core, so intense that the viewscreen filters engaged automatically. For a moment, hope surged through the observers, then died as the light vanished, seemingly consumed by the darkness. It failed, Elder Voss stated flatly. As our models predicted, silence filled the room. The Phyrexian elder lowered his head in resignation. Human crew members exchanged devastated glances. Wait, Teln said suddenly, pointing to the sensor display. Look at the boundary readings. Where the blinding light had touched the void, a faint shimmering effect remained, barely visible even to the ship's advanced sensors. The field is there, Nasser breathed. It's just too weak to sustain itself. We need more power, Alex said. Can we modify the motor ship's drive to amplify the effect? Rill's skin shifted to a deep blue, the motor equivalent of alarm. The risk factor exceeds... Sorry, Alex interrupted, but I'm not interested in probabilities right now. Can it be done? A moment of tense silence passed before Rill responded. Theoretically, yes. But such modifications would prevent our vessel from achieving quantum fold. We would be stranded in this sector. The implication hung heavy in the air. The Moda would be sacrificing their immediate return to their civilization. Teln stepped forward. I volunteer to assist with the modifications, she said. The other Moda stared at her in obvious shock. Analyst Teln, Elder Voss began, your decision lacks rational. Perhaps, Teln interrupted. There are times when rationality must yield to necessity. The MODA delegation conferred privately, their skin patterns flickering in rapid communication. Finally, Rill turned to Captain Alex. "We will proceed with the modifications," he announced. "The collective would find our decision unexpected. But we have observed that unexpected decisions sometimes yield the most valuable outcomes." As the engineering teams rushed to reconfigure the MODA vessel's drive systems, Talon joined Captain Alex at the viewport. Together, they watched the faint shimmer fighting against the encroaching darkness. "Your people are taking an enormous risk," Alex said softly. "Thank you." "Perhaps," Talon replied. "We are learning something from humans after all." The observation deck of the MODA vessel thrummed with energy as final preparations were made. The ship's quantum-fold drive, normally a model of engineering elegance, had been transformed into something entirely new. Exposed conduits snaked across the deck, connecting to hastily assembled human equipment. Warning lights flashed across control panels never designed for such modifications. "Power levels are approaching critical thresholds," Elder Voss warned, his skin pulsing with distress patterns. "Our containment systems are registering significant strain." Dr. Nasser made a final adjustment to the interface controls. "We need to push beyond normal parameters. The field has to be strong enough to establish a self-sustaining reaction." Captain Alex studied the tactical display, where the faint boundary effect from their first attempt was already fading. The void continued its expansion, the darkness seeming to pulse with hunger. "Time estimate until complete field collapse?" she asked. 17 minutes, Talon replied precisely. "After that, the quantum barrier will dissipate entirely." The Phyrexian. Elder watched the preparations with his compound eyes reflecting the emergency lights. "Even if this works," he said through the translator, "you will be stranded here. Your sacrifice for strangers is difficult to comprehend." "It's what humans do," Lieutenant Park said simply. "Not only humans," Alex added, glancing toward Telani and the other MODA who had chosen to remain. Rill approached the central control station. "Final simulations indicate a 9.7% probability of successfully establishing a stable field." "And the probability of our survival?" Alex asked. A momentary hesitation. 3.2%. Alex nodded. "Better odds than many missions I've undertaken." The MODA appeared genuinely perplexed by this response, but there was no time for cultural exchange. Warnings blared as the modified drive reached peak output. "Energy release in 3, 2, 1. Dr. Nasser activated the sequence. The view screen showed a massive energy wave erupting from the MODA vessel, expanding outward to connect with the remnants of the initial barrier. For a moment, the light seemed to push against the darkness, then faltered. "It's not working!" Park shouted over the sound of overloading systems. "The field's collapsing!" Dr. Nasser frantically adjusted controls. "The resonance frequency is wrong. The void is absorbing the energy faster than we can establish the barrier." "Can we modulate the output?" Alex demanded. "Not with this configuration," Elder Voss replied. "Our systems were not designed for such adjustments." As alarms blared and hope dimmed, Lieutenant Park had a sudden realization. "The Phyrexian communication technology, their distress beacon penetrated space in a way our sensors couldn't detect. What if we incorporate their signal modulation into our field?" The Phyrexian Elder's appendages trembled with excitement. "Yes! Our quantum harmonic technology might create the resonance pattern needed." "There's no time to properly integrate new systems," Rill objected. "Then we'll do it improperly," Alex decided. "Dr. Nasser, work with the Phyrexians. Everyone else prepare for emergency protocols. If this doesn't work, we'll need to evacuate the MODA ship immediately." What followed was a blur of desperate innovation. The Phyrexians, despite their weakened condition, worked frantically alongside human engineers. They cannibalized their own survival craft, extracting communication technology and integrating it into the modified drive system. "This violates every safety protocol in existence," Elder Voss observed, even as he assisted with the modifications. "Welcome to how humans solve problems," Nasser replied grimly. As system after system redlined, Captain Alex made a final ship-wide announcement. "All personnel prepare for emergency field activation. This is likely our last attempt before catastrophic drive failure." Throughout both vessels, crews secured themselves as best they could. The MODA, traditionally reserved and controlled, now moved with an urgency that matched their human counterparts. Resonance modifiers online, the Phyrexian elder announced. Our technology is synchronized with your field generators. Activating. Now, Dr. Nasser confirmed. The blast of energy that erupted from the ship was unlike anything previously released. It pulsed with a strange harmonic pattern, visible waves of quantum interference that expanded outward toward the void's boundary. When the energy wave met the darkness, instead of being absorbed, it seemed to lock in place, creating a shimmering, translucent barrier. The ship rocked violently as feedback surged through its systems. Power overload in sections 3 through 7, Lieutenant Park shouted over the blaring alarms. Containment field failing in the drive core, Elder Voss added. Captain Alex gripped her chair as the deck plates bucked beneath her. Is the barrier holding? Through the chaos, Talon studied the sensor readings. The quantum boundary is stabilizing. Energy absorption rates are dropping. We need to maintain output for 3 more minutes to reach self-sustainability, Dr. Nasser called out, manually rerouting power through damaged systems. As the ships shuddered and systems failed around them, humans, Moda, and Phyrexians worked together, each contributing their unique perspectives and abilities. When one approach failed, another was tried. When logical analysis reached its limits, human intuition filled the gaps. 30 seconds to field stability, Talon announced, her voice showing the faintest tremor of emotion. Rill watched in fascination as Captain Alex made split-second decisions that defied calculated probabilities, yet somehow yielded results. You are operating outside all predictive models, he observed with something like wonder. Alex managed a tight smile despite the ship breaking apart around them. That's humanity's specialty. 3 weeks after the battle with the Void, the Horizon limped through space at sub-light speed. Its once sleek hull bore the scars of their encounter, scorched, panels and improvised repairs visible across its surface. The Moda vessel fared even worse, its quantum fold drive sacrificed to create the barrier that now contained the darkness. In the Horizon's conference room, Captain Alex stood before a gathering of humans, Moda, and Phyrexians. The mood was somber, yet tinged with quiet pride. The quantum barrier is holding, she announced. Long-range sensors confirm the Void's expansion has been completely halted. While we don't know how long the containment will last, we've bought valuable time, perhaps centuries, for a permanent solution to be developed. Rill stepped forward. His once perfect posture now showed subtle signs of adaptation to human body. Language. We have analyzed the barrier extensively. The combination of technologies created something our algorithms cannot fully explain. It operates on principles that defy our current understanding of quantum mechanics. Sometimes the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, Dr. Nasser remarked. The Phyrexian elder raised his trembling appendages. My people are few now, but we will carry the memory of your sacrifice eternally. You came when no rational species would have made such a choice. The irrational choice proved correct, Talon observed. This challenges fundamental Moda principles. Captain, Alex surveyed the gathered beings, former strangers now bonded through shared struggle. We've sent emergency beacons toward both Earth and the Moda Collective. At our current speed, we're looking at a 17-year journey to the nearest inhabited system, assuming we can maintain life support and resources. A weighted silence fell over the room. 17 years was a lifetime away from home, from families, from everything familiar. The Moda Collective will dispatch rescue vessels once our message is received, Rill assured them. Though that may take several of your years. And Earth will do the same, Alex added. Until then, we survive together. Later, as the makeshift fleet continued its slow journey, Talon found Captain Alex in the observation lounge, staring at the stars. I've been authorized to share something with you, Talon said, her voice carrying an unfamiliar cadence. The Moda Council convened an emergency session after receiving our preliminary report. They have designated humans as a protected cognition species. Alex raised an eyebrow. What does that mean? It means that despite your technological limitations, the collective recognizes that humanity possesses something uniquely valuable, something we have engineered out of ourselves over millennia of rational development. And what's that? Talon's 4 eyes focused on Alex with intensity. We have yet to find the precise term. The closest approximation in your language might be transcendent irrationality. The ability to defy overwhelming odds through sheer determination. To make the impossible possible simply by refusing to accept its impossibility. We just call it hope, Alex said with a smile. Sometimes it's all we have. The Phyrexian elder joined them, his once weak form now gradually strengthening under the care of human medical science. My people had a similar concept once. We called it the light beyond darkness. Over millennia of technological advancement, we began to trust only what we could measure. Perhaps that is why we could not defeat the void. We had forgotten how to believe in the immeasurable. 6 months into their long journey home, the 3 species had created something unprecedented. A true interspecies community. The Moda began experimenting with human concepts like music and art. Several had even requested modifications to their emotional suppression implants, cautiously exploring feelings their species had abandoned ages ago. The Phyrexians shared their advanced ecological knowledge, helping transform the hydroponics bays into thriving gardens that would sustain the travelers. In return, humans taught them games, stories, and the peculiar human habit of celebrating even small victories. In his private quarters, Rill recorded what would become the most controversial report ever submitted to the Moda Collective. Long-term observations suggest that what humans call hope is not a cognitive error as previously classified, but rather a necessary catalyst for innovation under extreme conditions. When probability calculations indicate failure, hope provides an alternative pathway, one that our perfectly logical models cannot account for. This represents not a flaw in their cognitive processes, but a significant blind spot in our own. 1 year into their journey, the improvised fleet detected an incoming vessel, a Moda rescue ship equipped with a working quantum fold drive. The collective had responded to their message far sooner than expected. As preparations for transfer began, Elder Voss approached Captain Alex. His skin, once a perfectly regulated blue, now displayed subtle patterns of emotion, something previously unheard of among the Moda. The collective has requested all research data from our encounter with the Void, he said. But there is something they will not understand from data alone. And what's that? Alex asked. That in facing this crisis, we have all been changed. The Moda believed we had reached the pinnacle of evolution by eliminating emotional responses and following pure logic. Now we must consider that we instead eliminated a crucial evolutionary advantage. Captain Alex watched as humans, Moda, and Phyrexians worked side by side preparing for the rendezvous. Different species, different strengths. Together were something greater than any of us could be alone. The Moda rescue vessel arrived with news that shocked everyone, especially the Moda delegation. Following their initial report about human capabilities, the collective had dispatched not 1, but 17 research vessels throughout human space. Earth had been extended an unprecedented invitation to join the Galactic Council, the first pre-quantum fold civilization ever to receive such an honor. As Captain Alex prepared to address the assembled crews before departure, she found herself thinking about the strange journey that had brought them here. A desperate distress call from across the galaxy. A logical species seeking illogical help. A darkness that consumed worlds. And the most unlikely alliance imaginable standing against it. When we answered that distress call, we couldn't have known where it would lead, she began, looking across the faces of 3 different species now united in purpose. We acted not because it was logical, but because it was right. Not because success was guaranteed, but because the attempt had to be made. Telon, standing nearby, had composed the final entry in her analysis of human behavior. The greatest strength of humanity is not their technology, their numbers, or even their adaptability. It is their inexplicable certainty that against all odds, against all reason, the impossible simply has not been tried hard enough. As the rescue ship prepared to take them home, humans, Moda, and Phyrexians stood together on the observation deck, watching the quantum barrier they had created, a shimmering wall of light holding back the darkness, a testament to what becomes possible when calculation and courage, logic and hope, science and spirit work as one. In the galactic archives, the official record would state simply, "Quantum anomaly successfully contained through joint species intervention." But across countless worlds, the story would be told differently. About how the coldly logical Moda sought help from an improbable species. About how humans, without hesitation, journeyed across half a galaxy to save strangers. About how the impossible became possible when beings of different worlds stood together against the dark. And throughout the cosmos, when distant civilizations detected the approaching darkness of their own destruction, they would remember that once, when aliens sent a distress call, humanity's answer was unthinkable. Yet it was precisely that unthinkable answer that had saved them all.